Welcome back to EUCF 2022 mixed pool play action. Deep Space in the ascendancy now, up 7-2 on Catchup. Apologies for the stream disappearing for a fair few minutes. The official word is someone from Shout unplugged the stream, so special no thanks to them.
Boo!
But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Although for Catchup, maybe not so much of a bad thing, because this game has really not gone their way, and Deep Space break for half like that.
That is an epitome, really, of how the game has gone. We have Catchup basically just not able to reach down far enough and the disc bouncing off her shins, and then Deep Space picking it up, going quickly, pressing the advantage and scoring with one pass. Yeah. It's been a really odd game from Catchup so far.
It hasn't always been like that. Deep Space haven't been 100% clinical when they've got the disc, but Catchup have given them so many chances that it hasn't really mattered.
It hasn't, and what Deep Space have done really well, even when they haven't executed, when they haven't converted those chances, they've been really aggressive and they've pushed the pace. They're really taking those chances, they're really taking those mistakes when Catchup heads are down, and they're pushing them as hard as they can. And I think it's a good idea. It's really, as I say, pressing the advantage and taking advantage of the fact that Catchup, their heads are going down, they're slightly downbeat about things, they're not quite up to speed immediately after return, and Deep Space is just pushing the pace and getting big rewards from it.
So, for those unfamiliar with what's going on in the pool at the moment, Deep Space are going to finish either third or fourth, so they'll be in the 5-8 bracket. That much is certain. Catchup might be in that bracket with them, but if Catchup were to win this game and Leftovers beat Disconnection, then Disconnection and Catchup would both finish 3-2. And it would be Catchup facing Hrut in the semi-finals by virtue of head-to-head.
Not sure that's really a reward facing Hrut in the semi-final, given that Hrut look so powerful. But obviously, Catchup are going to be aiming for the semi-finals here. As I said earlier, before we were rudely interrupted, they are treating this game, or they were treating this game, they're coming in treating it as a de facto quarter-final, knowing if they don't win, there's no chance they can go through to semis. We were speculating earlier whether the pressure maybe was a little bit too much weight for them, and it certainly seems as though that is the case so far, given that they've had maybe their worst half of the entire tournament in a pretty key situation.
Yeah, I don't have an update for you on the score in that game between Leftovers and Disconnection, because if Catchup don't win this, it might have been academic anyway. Yeah,
it could be if it could be that even if Disconnection are winning, as you say, it doesn't matter a great deal.
But certainly, you wanna hold up your end of the bargain.
You do. You want to at least force the other people to answer the question. You want to ask the question. At the moment, there's no question being asked. And you can see on the line, Catchup encouraging each other to lift the energy, lift the noise on the sideline, really get involved and push their teammates back into it. They are on D out of half as well, so things could be about to get a little bit worse on the scoreboard for them.
You see the players from each side signaling whether they are male or female matching. 4 male matching players on this point, which is why we have a male puller, with the EUF utilizing the prescribed pull-up rule for this championships.
Yeah, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's one of those rules where, you know, when you bring in a rule and it's so good and so obvious that
it's like, why weren't we doing this before?
Exactly, and yeah, the prescribed puller rule, one of the best additions to the game in recent years, in my opinion.
Begrudging thanks to Liam Grant.
Yes, thank you, Liam.
Not because I don't like the rule. I just don't want his ego to get any bigger than it already is. Oyama putting this one deep. Denniston, ooh, couldn't bring it in.
Is there a call here? It looks as though there may be a foul call. I'm not sure. Denniston had the read perfectly. It's a turnover. It looks like she wanted a quick chat and she has retracted whatever call she made.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of contact as Mike came down, maybe on the base of Denniston's legs potentially. So yeah. Not saying I don't think it's a foul, but just maybe something to be aware of.
I think so. Yeah, probably just incidental contact, because as I say, I don't think Denniston had a perfect read on it. A decent shot though.
Brechko picks up with Baker on the mark. This one pops up a little bit. Brilliant grab though from Coyle. That one off the hands of Kreintz. Again, Catchup, just too many unforced errors.
Very much so. we can really count on one hand the amount of turnovers that have been forced by Deep Space, but Catchup just not able to keep disc in hand at the moment.
To the point where I can't even really call them uncharacteristic,
No.
given how this game's gone.
No, agreed, you can't. At this point, it's just continuing in the trend that they've established already.
And they look a shadow of the side that was so impressive in the victory we streamed over Disconnection yesterday.
Disconnection aside, who have looked good. They look like they could be a contender in the semi-finals if they get there.
Oyama with a rising stall count, putting it deep, putting air underneath it. Vile wants to read it in. Oh, maybe he should have done.
He had more time, I think, than he expected there. His mark had just not read it at all. Mesner did not seem to really know where the disc was, and I think Sam Vile had more time than he expected he had, and just tried to take it early and didn't quite get there.
That one towards the break side.
Big shot.
And now down the far side, looking to get it central. No, faking once, twice. Going across the front of the end zone, where Brechko reels it in. Catchup breaking to start the second half. That is exactly what they needed.
That's exactly what they needed and what we needed. We needed Catchup to get back into this game, or it was going to be potentially a bit of a dull second half. But if they can mount something of a comeback, start pushing Deep Space and try and come back into this game, we could be in for a decent second half here.
Especially because, and I don't think that Catchup will know this, but that leftovers Catchup game is 8 apiece on serve.
Leftovers Disconnection game, to be clear.
That is exactly what I meant, yes thank you very much.
Leftovers Disconnection is 8-8 on serve. And as we said, if Leftovers win and Catchup win, Catchup will go through. So, as you say, Benji, no reason that they will know that. I'm sure they won't have anyone on the sideline. They're focusing on themselves, but if they can come back into this game, there's potential that they could progress to the next round.
The score is currently 8-3 Deep Space, or if you're looking at the scoreboard on the far sideline, 8E.
Yeah, clearly someone is putting that upside down.
I wonder if they'll notice. Also, I don't think it's upside down. I think it is back to front.
Back to front, yeah, looking down at it, that's it.
Handler, excellent example of nominative determinism, picking up the disc. Into the centre for Lee. Vile bouncing it off Handler in the backfield. Looking towards the sideline. Denniston has it. Shooting it deep, putting a bit of air underneath it. Oh, off the hand of Fisher. Maybe a bit of phantom implied defense there from Breitenthaler.
I think Breitenthaler might have got a hand to it, but it's another one where Fisher's going deep and he's got space, and it's a tough one to throw into. It's a very narrow window and they haven't quite executed it. Another one where the option's good, I think.
But that's the trickier sideline to bring it in from. With the wind blowing away from the camera. Yeah, swinging across and it never reaches Vuti. And Denniston pounces on the first pass.
And Tom Fisher finally catches a score on the third attempt. Third time is, after all, the charm.
Catchup generated the turn, but just could not do anything with it.
Yeah. We said in the last point, their D-line did a good job of converting on the second chance. They're going to need more of those chances. You don't necessarily expect the D-line to convert every chance. Deep Space certainly haven't done that. But the fact that they are getting chances now, Catchup, is a positive, so hopefully they can keep pushing that for the rest of the game.
9-3 Deep Space lead here in a game that, on the standings, doesn't really matter. Sure, it would give you an easier semi-final in that 5 to 8 bracket, which, you know, given that you can't finish in the top 4 at this stage, always want to finish as high as possible and take some mythical momentum into the next contest.
Yeah, last time Deep Space came to Euros, I believe they finished 4th. They made the semi-finals, so they were hoping to push into that bracket again. But if they can go into that 5A bracket, as you say, Benji, and finish in the 5-6 game, I think that's a really good outcome for them. It's been a really good season for them so far. Doing well at Worlds, finishing third at UK Nationals, winning regionals. Good season for Deep Space overall.
Brechko with Ridlover on the mark. Swinging that towards the far sideline. Comfortable chase down for Shitter. Here's Kailani to Brechko. Brechko puts that one out into space, just past the bidding defender. It's not quite in yet, but it is on the end zone line. Swung back to Brechko. Brechko wants to pop that one in there. Whoa, lightning quick hands to bring that one in.
Oh, fit that in a keyhole, didn't she? There's very, very little space there. It's an excellent throw. A great bid from, I think it was Yan So.
I believe it was.
Really good bid, but that is the kind of offense that we've been waiting for Catchup. Smooth, composed, working it across the field, using both sides of the field. Excellent bid, just about can't get there. I think she actually gets a hand on that disc as it's caught.
Yeah, Brechko is a player who's not afraid to take on those tight window throws. Did there, and we're going to see it again for the score. Two players have hands in there, Yan So and Rowe. But Paul Avuti, I think it is, just about gets that hand through and snacks it away.
That is about as tight a window as you're going to get. That's an absolutely outstanding throw. And yeah, good to see the Catchup offense kind of coming into some form. If they can keep up that kind of clinical nature and their D-line can keep getting chances, it could be that we are in for an interesting last bit of this game.
EUCF 2022. As I fish some flies out of my drink.
There are fewer flies, I think, than there were yesterday, although that might be tempting fate slightly, but there still are quite a lot of flies. Yeah, there still are quite a lot of flies.
Yeah, I wonder if the rain, the heavy, heavy rain we had yesterday, dulled them a little bit.
Drowned them.
I must admit, given the past few days, it feels like we've got off relatively scot-free weather-wise.
Certainly does, considering all the lightning that was forecast. The weather today has been very nice. It's a bit overcast now, but it's still quite bright. Barely any wind.
Handler pricking up from the corner of the end zone to Oyama. Oyama finds Fisher. Snaps that fake. Looking for an option. Squeezing it down the line. Oyama with a little bit of a milk there. And now Oyama wants to open it up. Oh, this is going to hang a little bit there. Sandwell brings it down.
Yeah, some contact. It looks like everyone's happy with it, and it is a goal. Good read from Sandwell. Attacked it high, took it down. I think the throw from Oyama was slightly speculative given the wind, but chose his receiver well.
Sandwell, one of a couple of deep space players who actually filled in their player surveys, so thank you.
Very good, very good.
I mean, we did know how to pronounce your name, but I do appreciate that you've also have given us
and how you spell your name, how it sounds, has just written Sandwell.
Phil Sandwell.
So
very wise.
Very instructive. Thank you, Phil.
We got that.
I do have a fact about Akito Oyama for you.
Yes, go ahead.
Has represented Great Britain, I believe, in Frisbee. Has also represented England in another game. Do you know what it is, Benji?
The way you said game and not sport. Tiddlywinks.
A board game. It's chess. He's an excellent chess player, I believe.
Are you keeping an eye on the chess cheating scandal?
I am positively buzzing with excitement about it. Yes.
Very, very select choice of words there. This one towards the sideline. Afifudin chases it down. Pick in the center. Eventually they got the message across.
It took a while. I think it was just before the throw to Afifudin, to be honest with you, so it probably should go back to Moss, but I don't think it affected a great deal. As Benji reaches into the glass to pick out yet another fly. Afifudin looks down the line, sends it to Moss. Moss and Davis both there again, and neither of them can get there again.
How many times have we seen that shot down the sideline from deep space and somehow it falls between a couple of receivers?
Yeah, a few times. The shots are there. I think it's just a little miscue as the big shot goes up from Catchup.
I mean, this is some chase. Oh, no. Kyle. It did the classic, focus on trying to jump it in. and not enough focus on actually making sure that he caught it.
That is a heartbreaker. That is a heartbreaker, considering the work that they've done to try and keep this hold. They've played tough D on Deep Space's D-line, trying to prevent them getting another break. It's a great shot deep as well. Chased it all the way down and just didn't watch it into the hands.
Yeah, coast-to-coast huck. Afifudin. Oh, what a hand block that is from Brechko. And will she go for the bookends? Oh, yes, she will, laying out to save it. Whoa. Maybe that's the energizer, that jump start that Catchup needed.
They almost did a Davis and Moss, didn't they? The two people putting each other off, but a really good hand block, using that height advantage, that length to knock it away, and then an excellent save of that offensive point. A hold for Catchup, but feels like more than a hold, doesn't it, Benji, considering how hard they had to work and how the game's gone to this point.
And the happiest man in the complex right now is Philip Caorle.
Definitely.
Here's the hand block, bang, Brechko right there.
Times it beautifully.
Caorle picks up, having dropped what should have been the score. It's actually tipped, it's off the hands of Paolo Vutti, but Brechko's there to rescue it.
It looks really good. It's very something artistic about the fact that she's just got a hand to it, looks over with despair, and her teammate is backing her up. Really good point there for Catchup, and like as you say, Benji, that could be a catalyst.
You know, you see those memes, it's like unexpected renaissance.
Yeah, yes, it is. It does look like that a little bit.
I mean, we are in Italy, so.
True, very fitting, very fitting.
Catchup hoping for a second half renaissance here.
Ooh, ooh. This man's a pro. What a segue.
Thank you. Handler to Vile. Again, pump fakes it. You can see the marks of the handlers on the near side just sagging off a little bit. Denniston gets it down the line. Trying to sit into space for Baker. And Eisenberger was coming in to apply enough pressure.
Yeah, I think he comes up, reads it very well, makes a good, safe, clean play as well. No danger of a collision there as Claire Baker's streaking into that space.
Kleinhappel picks up. Maya Ortner with a big fake down that line. Probably going to reset this to Satina, but threw it too far behind her, and Handler was there.
The handler gets a hand in there. Like you say, Benji, just a little too far upfield. If she's pushed that further towards the end zone for the handler to run onto, that's a nice, easy catch. But now deep space with a short field to get this hold.
Vile to Sandwell. Faking once, twice. Back into the backfield. Squeezing that down. Ruggiero on the sideline. Wants to break this off to Vile. Still tight to that sideline. Bit of air underneath this shot that goes across the field. Denniston pops up to get it. Now rolls her wrist across her backhand to Baker. Baker to Handler. Handler past Rosavuti. Back to Sandwell, and now Vile. Moving it around the back nicely here.
It's great end zone D from Catchup as well.
And then a little bit of toe drag swag there for the score.
It's a score. It's obviously a hold for deep space, but that is excellent end zone D from Catchup. Made them take lots and lots of passes. As you say, Benji, it's good patience from deep space, taking what they're given and not losing their heads. But I think that's a good point from Catchup. Although they need more than good points at the moment, don't they? They really need to get that disc off deep space, not just keep them out for a while. But a good point for both teams there. Some nice slick offense from deep space.
Yeah,
just a little bit too far.
Catchup looking much better in the second half.
Yeah, they are.
It's just too little too late, probably.
This is it. I think if they started playing with this energy, this intensity in the first half, we could be looking at a really close game here. You can see these two teams now are very well matched. Just a slow start could have condemned the Austrians to defeat here, but let's not speak too soon. Still plenty of game to play.
That 100% is.
Wind picking up slightly. See the flags in the background, whistling away.
That one popping up a little bit, not a problem though for Kleintz. Kleintz resetting back to Shitter. Shitter putting some air underneath it. This one's underthrown and Dan Hillman picks it off. Known as a, yeah, he's got a good frisbee brain, especially defensively as that shot through the center gets a tip from Mike. Here's Breshko. Looking, turning, isolating the reset, leading Mesner into space. Now putting air underneath it again, a bit of a hospital pass, and coming down through the mass of humanity is Christoph Schitter.
A very, very speculative throw. The wind is blowing the wrong way for that, so it was always going to hang with the angle he put on that disc. Thankfully for him, his teammate has come down with it, but there was definitely a couple of deep space players who had a shot at that disc. We see the long pass here that Hillman intercepts. He's favourite for that the whole way, not quite enough on that one. And then Ridlover can't quite find the gap in the middle of the field. So laying out for it. Looks like it's Mien Ho laying out for it, can't quite get there. And we see he's in this position, this pivot position. So Duncan Rowe knows exactly what's coming, and it just hangs in the air. Koshkov can't quite get there. First jump can't quite get there. Hillman's probably going to get there, but Shitter is able to get there first.
So 11-6, the timeout called here. We're going to take a short break in the booth, and we'll be back with you on the other side. Welcome back to Caorle, Italy. The airport fields the venue for EUCF 2022. Last round of mixed pool play. Deep Space up 11-6 on Catchup as the Brits look to play spoiler for the Austrian semi-final ambitions. And so far, they're doing it.
They are. First half that we've already seen was a very convincing 8-2 scoreline for Deep Space. It's been more competitive in the second half. Catchup are coming back into it, but they have a mountain still to climb.
You see myself, Benji Rees and Sean Colfer in the booth, looking very stylish in our new Force Sportswear swag. And I must admit, I appreciate I might sound like a massive shill now, but genuinely, I love it. I'm really impressed with how it's come out. Yeah,
me too. I absolutely love it. There's been a lot of comments, as I said yesterday. It's very much a polarizing fit that we are sporting at the moment with the bright colours, the vertical stripes, but
the sun hoodie, I must admit I was very unsure about it when I saw the mock-up, but I think it looks really good in person.
I wanted to get either the sun hoodie or the jacket, looked at them both and was like, the jacket, it looks very professional, looks very nice. It's for mugs. Give me that sun hoodie, look at that thing. Yes, please. And it's come out exactly as I wanted it to come out.
And you've decorated it with a tiny bit of sauce.
Yeah, a bit of tomato sauce as I scarfed lunch while you were doing some commentary, Benji.
Regular Joey Chestnut over here.
I try. Give me some pasta. I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to eat it quickly.
Brought in at the brim mark by Oyama. Having to reset to begin the possession here, though. Oyama, oh, does he get there? Foul called.
It's really good handler marks from Catchup, making those resets very, very, very difficult. You could see there was a very small amount of space for Phil Samuel in the first instance, and then for Phil Samuel to get to Oyama. Oh, it's very close, isn't it? Very, very close, but looks like the foul has been accepted on the field.
So disc back in Oyama's hands. Can Oyama find an option? Gets it to handler as the reset. Fakes down the line. Oyama can't squirrel free. Handler's throw hits the turf. Catch up with a good break opportunity here. And punching it in quickly and ruthlessly. Moik to Hildebrand. 11-7.
And that was the first short field opportunity that I can remember for Catchup, to be honest with you. That's the first time they put on such intense pressure on the deep space handlers for certain. And that is a big, big point for Catchup. 11-7 is a much more respectable sounding scoreline, and it's more of a hill than a mountain now, Benji. We're not quite at mountain territory anymore.
No, just like a
tour, a Glastonbury tour.
A Glastonbury tour, which I actually went up for the first time this year.
How was it?
Very druidy.
Druidy. I've not heard that as an adjective before.
I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be, but I think it's the only word that fits it.
Wow. When I played Glastonbury, we went there with a few people who were fairly new to the team, hadn't played before, and we told them that everybody on the team had to trek up to the tour before they could go on a night out on the Saturday evening. So they were annoyed. They set off. Obviously, none of us had ever done it. We just wanted to make them do it. They got about half an hour towards it. Would have taken them about 4 hours. We called them and told them they could come back. Told them it was just a joke. They didn't see the funny side, Benji. They did not see the funny side.
Sounds like a them problem.
I agree.
Skill issue, in my opinion.
I thought it was very funny. Here we go then. Catchup. Going to come down and try and do the same again.
Vile watches the pull into his hands. Bounces off Fisher, gets it back. Sandwell on the far side. Lee slashes diagonally underneath. That one sneaks it back through into the arms of Vile. Fisher's taken off deep. And now Vile puts air underneath it. It's going to invite some pressure. I think there was a foul called quite early on there.
I think you are right, and it looks as though that has been a very, very, very quick contest.
Yeah.
Not really any discussion there.
Which, again, not a massive fan of.
It did look as though there was some contact. To be fair, I didn't think the call was a terrible call. The throw was a pretty terrible throw, in my opinion, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very drifted up in the air, and considering the wind, you can see that there's contact on the back there. I think a discussion would have been a very fair outcome there, at least.
But it's sent back to Vile, and instead he takes the swing to Lee. Oh, this one's popped by Brechko and rescued by Vile. Wijaya on the sideline to Fisher. Clears through, and they're going to try and squeeze that down there. Reaching out with the left hand, no. Those sideline shots for deep space have not worked out.
Yeah, it's just the wind pushing it back into the middle of the field, I think. It's had to go with the left hand. It's a really difficult catch. It's a really difficult throw, to be honest, but they keep taking it on. But it was a difficult catch to reel in, as we see some of the deep space players agreeing with us about the difficulty of those shots as they walk past.
Caorle, defensively there for Catchup, I think looked a little bit frustrated that he wasn't getting more communication from his teammates. Brechko breaking it around, this one popping up. It's brought down, I think maybe they were going to have to talk about it. Moik lashes it deep, and Lena Ortner, despite the layout attempt, can only tip it.
That was outrageously aggressive in terms of a throwing option, and I loved it. It was a great attempt to try and get there. If he's maybe put a little less edge on that, I think she's going to catch that, and she has a free runner going into the end zone. That is a fantastic bid to try and get there.
Discal coming on the far sideline. Not a great position to have to bring the disc in from, especially not too far outside your own end zone. Force trying to stop the inside, but they do sneak it through to Vile. Downfield is Baker. Baker just past the outstretched arm of Moik. Vile across to Denniston. Low looking for Baker, too far.
One thing about this point so far, Layla Denniston is so central to the deep space offense because she's so good and is usually able to get so free, but Brechko has done an absolutely excellent job of limiting her and earlier on in the point actually getting a block on it, which you do not see often.
Can I say the thing?
Go ahead.
Suspiciously open.
I think so. I think so. I think the question is how close Vial was when he called the pick. I think that's a discussion here, but it looks like we're coming back here.
Brought back in for Catchup. Is that Brechko-Denniston matchup again? Swung to Mesner. Mesner now on the far side is Caorle. Caorle sits it into the centre for Moik, and there's another pick. Just need to sort out the spacing of this offense.
Yeah, there's been quite a few picks, hasn't there? I think as well, Catchup are well aware that time is not necessarily on their side, although there's plenty of time left in this game. We've still got nearly half an hour left, so there's plenty of time for them to come back, but they're starting to get a little bit agitated by any deep space call, even if the calls are seemingly pretty valid, to be honest.
Swung around to Moik. Through the centre, into traffic, knocked to turf.
Yeah, just too far ahead of the receiver.
Vial picks up. I think he wanted the quick one. Wasn't there. Vijaya's very free as he gets the disc. Breaking it off the hand of Baker, and she slaps her hand in frustration.
Yeah, it's a tough one. She's had to reach out for it, but given how talented Baker is, the level she's played at before, that's definitely one she would have expected to bring in.
So another opportunity for Catchup. Air underneath it again. This could invite traffic. And, ooh, he got a hand to it, did Mesner, but couldn't bring it in. No call. Back in play.
Yeah, good no call, I think. Everyone went up very fairly. Just a bit of incidental contact. Couldn't quite reel it in.
Sandwell with that low release to Wijaya. Here's Fisher. Sandwell centering to Vial, looking to swing all the way for the far sideline is Rachel Lee. Toe the line, oh, it doesn't matter because he didn't make the catch.
It's a great attempt to try and keep his feet in, but yeah, couldn't quite complete the catches. He was concentrating so much on his feet.
Just going to kindly let him do up his laces.
Those are so tough, aren't they? Trying to coordinate your feet, your hands, bring in the catch and stay in bounds. Impressive attempt.
Especially on this heavy, muddy turf. And swinging into the centre. This point's degenerated a little bit, so taking the time out here to get a breather, and we'll do the same in the booth, and we will rejoin you on the other side. Welcome back to EUCF 2022. Deep Space 11, Catchup 7 is the current score. Catchup, having dug themselves a huge hole, now trying to claw their way out of it, looking for another break here.
Yeah, it's a really important result now. It looks as though leftovers are beating disconnection. So this is a crucial game for Catchup. As we said earlier, if they win and leftovers win, Catchup will go through to the semis. But they are 4 points back of Deep Space at the moment.
By the way, ignore the clock on the screen. Because this game started late and because somebody from Shout unplugged us in the first half,
Boo.
we reckon there's about 8 minutes left before Cap comes on. At least Cap would normally come on. I don't know if they're just going to time this game separately.
Yeah, the last semi-final overran slightly as well, so it started slightly late. Sorry, quarter-final overran.
Playing it short, just outside the end zone. Still not in. Sitting that, the leading pass. Ortner couldn't get it.
And that's just another example of the miscues that have plagued Catchup in this game. It was a fairly easy leading pass into the far corner. There was not that much wind at the time. There's still a little bit breezy, but it certainly died a little bit since we've been playing this game. And just put too much air on it, and you can see it keeps going up, 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 and just drifts harmlessly to the turf.
Vile slowly walks to that front cone. First pass is a reset to Fisher in the backfield. Leads Vile to space. Vile whips it deep looking for Denniston. Brechko's trailing and closing the gap. And maybe a bit of contact.
I would like to see a replay. Obviously, we are fairly far away, but I thought Brechko had overtaken there. That looks to me as though Denniston kicks the back of Brechko's foot after Brechko's overtaken her. Here we see it again. This comes in. It's difficult. It's difficult to tell, but as I say, I thought Brechko had overtaken Denniston there.
Obviously, we don't get a say. It's about the players on the field coming to a resolution they are happy with.
Yeah. You see some deep space players on the sideline who have a view as well. I assume this is a captain or spirit captain from Catchup coming to discuss with Denniston. So is that a retracted foul call?
I believe it is.
Good discussion from everybody involved there, I think. And tough to retract a call like that in a spot like this where, you know, Catchup are building some momentum. I'm sure Layla really wanted to bring that disc in, so really good spirit to accept what her opponents are telling her
But
and retract that call.
it is something that I do advocate. If you're not sure, call it, have the discussion, and if need be, okay, retract it.
Fully agree, fully agree. And when you have good spirited discussions like that, I think the discussion is always worth the time.
Yeah, as you say, it just seemed like Brechko had already got into position in front.
Yeah.
By the time the contact occurred.
Continuing her streak of extremely impressive D on one of the best players in the UK.
So there's going to be an injury stoppage. Sub some players through. Mesner picks up. Brechko getting the disc up line, banging this one. They've set up the isolation well, but that disc is fading away and out of play. Looking for Magdalena Kreitz.
Yeah, another situation where she had some separation, but with the wind picking back up, it's been very variable during this game, but as we've seen a few times from Catchup's Hucks going from right to left, just pushes it out the far sideline.
Swung to Vile, and now Vile's going to take the timeout. Second timeout at this point.
Wow. Clearly both teams seeing this as pretty important.
And I think we pay it the respect it deserves by taking a break. welcome back to EUCF 2022 live here on ULTI.TV's YouTube channel, where you can watch all the games from this weekend and from the season live and on demand for free at your leisure. And if you think that is something worth supporting, then there are a number of ways that you can do so. You can do all the basics, like, subscribe, share it around, get as many people watching as possible. YouTube now has the super chat and sticker function, and you can donate directly there. Or alternatively, you can join us on Patreon, patreon.tv/ULTI.TV, and help bring free live Ultimate to the people.
To the masses. The masses and masses of people.
I was going to say the unwashed masses, but I think that's our crew.
That is definitely our crew, and also we want washed, unwashed, anyone in between.
Masses, smalls, anything.
All of them.
Here's Vile. Clearly they've drawn up the deep look off the timeout. Vile lashes it, and it is brilliantly reeled in with the left hand by Wijaya, just on the end zone line. Faking that little inside through, going back to Denniston. Centering pass. Can they get a red zone play drawn up? Ooh. Too low for Fisher.
I think the offhand backhand was maybe an injudicious choice at that juncture. It certainly didn't fly as he wanted it to fly.
You just see it just sunk like a stone. A little bit of indecision maybe in the handler set. Threading the inside through to Brechko. Continuing this all the way around to Kleinhappel, who came in off the injury stoppage earlier. So he's got that right wrist strap, and he goes offhand there to Brechko.
That's what an offhand backhand should look like.
Brechko to Mesner. Mesner's putting it deep. Kleins is the target. Wow.
That was a much better huck. That was a really, really good one. Just couldn't quite reel it in. And this is becoming a really attritional point for both teams.
Bit of a hell point, it has to be said. And usually in these real attritional agricultural grinds, it does give that big mental boost to the team that is able to clutch it out.
And this is a hold for deep space. If their Catchup are able to get another break here, it would be huge for them mentally, for sure. They're going to get another chance at it.
Yeah, Gilboy, another player who came on during the stoppage. Shoots too far for Lee.
Gilboy, the coach of deep space this year, has taken on a leadership position, having come over from America, where he played for Exist, who have just made US Nationals.
New York?
Indeed.
I should really know this sort of thing.
We don't commentate on American Ultimate. It's not very good.
I'll talk to you later.
Maybe it is good. Who knows?
Brechko underneath. Breitenthaler looking into the backfield, where Brechko is orchestrating proceedings. This time the around backhand. Oh, Kreintz drops. Denniston picks up quickly. Baker's got space on this near sideline. Shooting it for Gilboy. Can he read it and bring it in? He made it a little bit hard for himself. And he's still on the floor. But it is a goal, I think. I don't know. He's laid there motionless for a good long while.
He's just tired. There was maybe some mild concern that he might have knocked himself out or something, but it looks like he's just tired. Long point for both teams, and it was a really, really difficult one. But Deep Space eventually do get the hold.
12-7, and you feel like that really puts a massive dent in Catchup semi-final hopes. Yeah, Gilboy is holding that right shoulder as he comes off the field.
He is. Hopefully for Deep Space, that's not too big. Or not too serious. He's a very big D-line player for them. They have two D-lines. He is the heart and soul of one of them. Main handler.
That is a hefty landing.
On that, doesn't he? Yeah. It's a good catch, but certainly lands heavier than he wanted to on that right-hand side. He looks like he's smiling looking off the field, though. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Again, it's those shots down the sideline for Deep Space that have maybe been more trouble than they're worth.
Yeah, yeah. That was a really, really good point, particularly Brechko for Catchup was monstrous on that point. Just couldn't quite get that final throw that they needed. Catchup on offense here. trying to extend this game slightly. And looks like there's been a pick, so we will hold for a moment.
Wind definitely picking up a bit now. You can hear it whipping from behind us across the microphones.
Had to put some heavy stuff on some light stuff so it doesn't fly across the field.
It's a very simple explanation.
I'm a simple guy, Benji. I'm a simple guy.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it.
I like a lot of pasta and not wasting any words.
Man of the people.
The washed and unwashed masses.
Daniela Cetina for Catchup here. Still count is rising. Just about claws that away beyond Yanso. Rosavuti back into Cetina's grasp. Goes with the backhand. Finds Kleinhappel. Kleinhappel with the pump fake. Can they find someone in the end zone? They can indeed. It's Yannick Hildebrand with the score.
It's a little frantic, a lot of cutting in phone boxes there from Catchup, but if it works, it works. And now they get that D-line back out to try and push the deep space O-line as hard as they can to try and reduce this 4-point deficit and secure their place in the semi-finals.
I mean, they really are making deep space work, but, as we mentioned, they just dug themselves such a huge deficit.
They did. That first half has really killed them. If they, like we've seen in the second half, that Catchup clearly can run with deep space. They're clearly a good team, and are certainly good enough to make those semi-finals. So it's just going to be a case of, can deep space hold their nerve here? 3 more points. Doesn't really matter about the time if they can score 3 more points. 3 more points and they are victorious, and Catchup will follow them into the 5-8 bracket.
Just those of you wondering what we've got coming up on the ULTI.TV live streams for you. For the rest of the day, women's semi-final up next on this pitch, Yaka versus Seagulls with Hannah Pendlebury and Luke Burgess. And on the other pitch, open semi-final, Clapham versus Kuzbla-Fossa with Stefan Rapazzo and myself when this game finishes. And then 3:10, open semi on this pitch, Ranelagh versus Heidi's with Lorcan Murray and Ravi Vasudevan. And on the other pitch, women's semi-final, Kuzbshout versus Bristol with Luke Burgess and Hannah Pendlebury. And then the mixed semis at the end of the day. Those are still to be decided. Groot and Reading will be in them, not against each other, coming out of the other pool. As Handler, does she get hand blocked?
She was thinking about that for a little while, wasn't she? It looks a very, very close one, as these things usually do. Just having a discussion about it. Another one, I think, where a discussion is going to be worth the time. And it looks as though... Oh. Really tough to tell when that's leaving a hand, isn't it, Benji?
It's always tricky when you're going with those backhands to the forehand side, I find.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's just so... It's going to be in your hand until the very last minute. And the hand definitely comes in there as she's bringing it through, but very difficult to tell when she loses control of it to try and throw. Even when you slow it all the way down, that's tough. That's tough to tell.
We saw Cetina get into a little bit of trouble on the previous point in a similar situation, but she was able to get the throw off.
Yep. They're seeing what teammates think. And it is a foul retracted, so it's a turnover. Another good discussion, though. These two teams doing a very, very good job of having calm discussions, making sure they get the views of each other and coming to a conclusion.
Yeah, there was one where someone seemed to insta-contest it, but apart from that, as you say, they have actually properly engaged in constructive discussions, which is something that you love to see.
Yeah.
Cetina trying to manipulate Lee on the mark. Dumps to Brechko. Running that give-go down the line. And again, this time Cetina gets it. There's going to be a pick, I think, in the middle, or a foul of some sort.
Yeah, it's a foul in the stack as they're coming through. Looks like it was as she caught it. Sam Vial just going to the ground.
Yeah, and I think they're saying, did not affect, just wanted to make sure that we're not disadvantaged.
This is another point where Brechko is playing absolutely fantastically. She has had a great game so far for Catchup.
Coming out of that strong Austrian youth cup from a few years ago, progressing up the age ranks, and now impressing on the field here at EUCF. Satina, Brechko up against Denniston on the mark. Still count rising, swung into the center. This one is Lena Ortner with the catch. Satina, oh, that one is popped up. And there is everyone underneath it. And it's brought down by Paula Vuti.
It's exactly as they drew it up. They wanted to drag all the deep space people under the disc so it would go over the top of them. I'm sure that's something they've trained. That was a very speculative. I was about to say, as she threw it, this has been really nice clinical offense from Catchup, but that was not a very good option. But it comes down, and that is another break that they really needed. And Catchup, it feels like, have got all the momentum now, Benji.
Yeah, I don't know if they're aware of what's going on in the leftovers disconnection game, where they need leftovers to win, of course. Even if they won this game, it wouldn't matter if disconnection were able to overcome the Czechs.
No, the looks as though leftovers have won against disconnection. It was 14-12, and the ULTI World reporter, as I mentioned earlier, Ned Garvey, the mixed division reporter, is watching that game, and he's just come over in our direction, which means that game is now over. So I would assume that leftovers have won that game, unless disconnection had a
15-12 final score.
15-12 final score. We're saying, I said, a 3-point run in about 3 minutes, but 15-12 to leftovers. So as we said earlier, that now means one part of the jigsaw is complete for Catchup. They now need to come back into this game and win it, and if they win this game, they are in the semi-finals. And Deep Space have called offside.
The lesser spotted offside call.
Yeah, Matt Hodgson, one of the captains, is walking back from the other end of the field, so it looks as though he may have been keeping an eye on the offsides, and they will use the rule to brick this pull.
Yeah, no grace period for it anymore. Straight to the brick mark with you. Khan.
This is the D-line for Deep Space.
And given that the O-line has not looked particularly in sorts recently, you understand why they've made the change. Hillman downfield, catching the break throw from Yan So, and the choice to get the D-line on pays dividends immediately.
Who needs offense? Who needs offense when your D can play like that? Absolutely excellent throw from Yan So to Hillman. Really good conversion that they needed.
I assume now the O-line will play some defense, yes?
As an O-line player myself, Benji, I would say that is a bad idea. They've got two D-lines. Put the other one out there. Yeah, it looks like that's what they're doing. They are putting a second D-line out there.
I mean, the point was quick enough that I'd be tempted to send them back out there.
Looks like Ali Thomas is staying. She was out there on the last point. And Gilboy still there. One of their crucial D-line players, one of the leaders of the team. Good track down from Hillman, but excellent throw from So.
I must admit, sometimes you see the D-line cross over and it doesn't necessarily work. But that one was a good choice.
It was, and I think the way Deep Space play offense, their D-line plays a very similar offense to their O-line. There's not really a huge amount of change in the way that they play with the disc. So I think they're well suited to putting the D-line on O, more so than some other teams might be. Good hanging pull for Deep Space.
Steph Rapazzo is ready to commentate on Clapham versus Cusp when this game finishes. Just realised that they've switched which game is on which field without me knowing. Sneaky. Kailani. Back into the hands of Shitter, putting air underneath it. Well read by Kleinhappel. We see him throwing it a lot of the time, but that one is threaded through to Paula Vuti again. 13-10.
That might be the best, cleanest offensive point for Catchup in the entire game. Very, very good, very clinical. Moved it across the entire field. Two really good shots, kind of one across the field and one into the end zone. Slight risk, but when you're throwing to people that are cutting aggressively and assertively to those areas, all that offense seems to flow very nicely, and it's now 13-10.
They're winning this second half 8-5.
Yeah.
And they've proved that they are the equal of Deep Space, if maybe not more at times. But they were so out of sorts in the first half, and Deep Space were not perfect. But when you were given that many opportunities, they didn't need to be.
No, they didn't need to be. That was exactly what I was going to say. They were handed the disc on a platter on a number of occasions. They took advantage of enough to establish a massive lead. And Catchup, as you say, Benji, have really come back into it and have certainly proved themselves to be very talented, very good, and certainly good enough to make the semis. It's just whether they're going to be able to finish that job off.
So here's the pull from the Austrians, Catchup of Graz.
It's back to a normal O-line for Deep Space, but Claire Baker looks like she's limping slightly.
I assume they may not need her, as that one's put deep, looking for Fisher. Fisher catches it in stride, but not quite in the end zone. Resets his feet on the end zone line. Looking for the dish off to Vile. Oh, he hits the floor. I think he just lost his footing and picked himself back up, and there is a player down, actually.
Looked like there was an injury indication, or is it a foul? Or is it just an incidental coming together? He went flying, didn't he? He went a long way. Look at that. Dramatic.
Reminds me that I haven't been bowling in a while.
It's going back to Fisher as well, so must be a foul called on the offense?
I guess so. Deep Space have it. Fisher for Oyama, who jumps in for the score. Deep Space 1 away from victory now, 14-10.
So Catchup to get to the semi-finals, need to score 5 in a row. Their task is pretty clear now.
But
no room for mistakes.
If they did it, what a story that would be.
Epic, epic. It would be pretty fun, and we would have it all on film, which would be, well, great for engagement. The important bits, the important bits.
Yes. Again, big no shout out to Cusp Shout.
Boo.
It was going to be terrible if we got duff information and it wasn't them who unplugged it.
Boo to them for not stopping whoever unplugged it, that's what I say. Boo to everyone involved, everyone in the vicinity.
Fair.
So here we go, Deep Space with the pull.
You see that again, signaling whether they are male or female matching.
4 female matching players for this point.
And that's why we have Ali Thomas pulling.
Good pull.
Brechko catches it. Shitter underneath to Mesner. Curls that one around Kovshov and opens up the arm. It's the inside-out backhand. This one is going to float. He's got the space, striding towards the back of the end zone. Caught for the goal.
Here we go there, Benji. We need a 4-point D-roll from the Austrians if they want to take this game.
Does that seem unlikely? Yes, they have strung together a few on the bouts this game. So maybe rather than thinking we need 4 breaks in a row, we just need 1 break in a row.
And then let's see what happens.
4 times in a row.
Yeah, 1 break and then let's see what happens. Keep pushing. But Deep Space, the way they've played so far in this game, you would have to say, if I was a betting man, I would not be putting money on this because the odds would be so bad.
Yeah, Deep Space, firm favourites, and they've earned this position. They have, but who knows? Knowing how important this is for Catchup, whereas for Deep Space, maybe doesn't necessarily have the same significance.
I wouldn't expect many of Catchup's players to leave the field in the next 4 points. They score 4 points, they get to a semi-final. You need to put your best players out there and just ride them all the way through.
Vile catches the ball. Short little pop back from Handler. Mark sagging off a little bit, trying to stop the deep throws, make them swing laterally in a stiffer breeze now. Sandwell. Sweatbands on his wrists. Into the backfield for Oyama. Oyama goes to Vile again. Everything in the handler space now at the moment. Denniston, all that throw was rising a little bit. Got her hands around it well. Down the sideline, wants to lead Vile. This one pops up. Ooh, what a block that is from Florian Moik.
Emphatic, wasn't it? It was always going to be a difficult distance to take down for Vile anyway as it was rising, but absolutely smashed it out of bounds. No mistake there. Charlie Butt has to stop it going over the fence.
Good job that he's 6-foot monster.
Is that a measurement? I'm 5'7", he's 6-foot monster?
Correct.
I think that's fair.
Satina. Kleinhappel will try and muster his way free as the reset. High release backhand, laying out, rescued there by Yannick Hildebrandt. Now putting it into space for Satina. Again with the backhand to the flick side to Moik, who's picked up a fair coating of mud on the back of that jersey. Going down, this time Maya Ortner keeps it alive. Recess to Kleinhappel. Continuation to Satina. And Satina punches it to Hildebrandt, 14-12.
What a layout grab from Ortner that was, with the left hand just inches off the turf. An absolutely fantastic catch to preserve possession, and that is a break that Catchup needed. The momentum's still with them. You can see they're amped up, and it looks like Deep Space may have pulled a timeout. No, they're still walking towards the line, but Deep Space in a tough spot here. They only need 1 point to go, but that is exactly the kind of break that is going to really charge Catchup up.
A little bit harem-scarum.
That's exactly what you want at this point of the game. Look at this catch. That's
Oh
absolutely
my God.
phenomenal.
There's a reason the sideline got hyped.
I was standing here with my head on my hands. My head on my hands? My hands on my head.
Do you
I
know?
suppose either way works.
Do you know who's not out there on the field at the moment?
Who's that?
Deep Space's O-line.
That is true. That is a D-line, isn't it? That is a full D-line as well. There is no O-line players on there.
Last time they tried, they sent the defense out to play offense. It was this kind of pod of D-line.
And we see a lot of the same players staying out there for catch-up. As I said, you're going to want to keep a lot of those players on the field because you have no margin for error here.
And that ball just lands out of bounds. Gilboy watched it all the way and will take it at the break.
All the way. Had his hands there just in case it was landing in.
LaFossa doing a lot of little quick pop passes just to our right. If you can hear the clapping behind us.
Kind of terrifying.
Gilboy brings it in. A little bit behind Kovshov, but he secures it anyway. Looking downfield, So just beyond Brechko. And now Janso back into Kovshov. Getting quite flat on the mark. Khan clears through. Kwok on the far side to Gilboy. Gilboy plants to go underneath, clears out. Looking for an option, Khan coming through into the backfield. Moik eventually gets into position. That one, feathered little flick to the front of the end zone, where it finds Hillman, and that will do it for Deep Space. 15-12 final score.
Loughborough University connection. Khan and Hillman have played together for years and years and years, know each other very well, and that high release flick from Khan. Nice, easy connection for that Deep Space D-line coming out to firefight for the team, secure the win. Great fight back from Catchup considering that start they had, but not quite enough, and they will go into the 5-8 bracket with Deep Space.
It was an absolutely rotten first half for them that really doomed them to defeat, and you could tell that they put pressure on very much in that second half, where the second half they 10-7 really was the final score after the interval. The problem was they just gave themselves too much work to do, but you could tell that Deep Space's O-line was rattled because they rotated them off in a couple of key moments.
Certainly was, and I think even in the loss, we've said her name many times, but Brechko, I think, was the outstanding player in that game. It's absolutely phenomenal. Deep Space had plenty of players that played well as well. Tough loss for Catchup. They've had a decent tournament so far, but they're disappointed to not make semis. But a great win for Deep Space. They go into the 5-8 bracket with a lot of confidence.
So that'll do it here for that mixed pool play action. We will confirm which semi-final will be on which pitch and let you know shortly. But we're going over to the open semi-final here between Clapham and LaFossa. Final score, Catchup 12, Deep Space 15. For Sean Colfer, Benji Reese saying we'll see you on the other side.
Merci beaucoup. ULTI.TV.